For my news broadcast anchor, I had Charles Gibson. He was born March 9th. He's a former broadcast anchor and he's also a journalist. He was a host of Good Morning America, and he also had his own TV broadcast, which was World News with Charles Gibson. Nobody worked alongside him, it was just him and the show. Charles' career began in 1965 and was finished on his show with Carl Gibson in 2009 when he retired. When he was in his younger days in college at Princeton University, he ran a radio station for the school so the kids could get the latest information and get it out there, and they'd always have the latest information about their school, their facility, and their teachers. So he worked at that small job at his college for being a news reporter. But in his earlier education, he lived in Evanston, Illinois, and he was parents of Georgiana Law, and his dad was Burdett Gibson. He attended a private school, and it was like a prep high school to get him prepared for college, which was Princeton. So it was just getting him ready to get into college and get him all ready for it. After Gibson graduated as at Princeton University, at first at Princeton University he was the reporter, and he got into reporting, and he really liked what he was doing with the reporting, and he just thought he should change the world and be a news reporter and learn more about being a news reporter. So he continued that in his Princeton years, and he really liked producing. He was the director of the station that he worked for at the school. He was also a local reporter for a big station that was around the university. And so he later, after he graduated, he joined RKO General in 1966. He was a producer for the station. So after that, he moved on because he didn't like what they were offering, and another job just came up and was better. So he moved to a different station. It was WLVA, which was television in Lincolnburg, Virginia. And then he moved again after that because he didn't like what they were offering him there. And he moved to WML-TV television, which is also another name for ABC Broadcasting, and it was out of Washington, D.C. So he was there for a while. Then he moved to another station, it was TVN, and he covered a lot of interesting reports back in the 70s. He covered the Richard Nixon Watergate scandal and the resignation of Richard Nixon. A lot of what Charles wanted to do was get the story out there, no matter how hard it was and how it would affect, like, President Nixon, for example. But he didn't care. He wanted to make sure he got the actual report out and was in the hands of all the other people out there that wanted to know about the scandal and everything. So then he was on Good Morning America. That was towards the end of his career. And then he also, the Good Morning America from 1985 to 1995, which was a decade, was one of the most watched American television series or television shows, live television show. And then in the late of 2005, he was working a side job for a world news station, and the former news anchor for that, Peter Jennings, had lung cancer and was unable to report at the time, and sadly on August 7th he passed away, and Gibson had to share the news of his death. And then a couple days later he was offered the job of the World News, so it was World News with Charles Gibson. He was a very well-spoken. He would get the news out as quickly and as efficiently as he could, and he was always very accurate, and he always liked to get the story out. So I thought he was a very good writer, and he always just stuck to his gut and got the story out of there, no matter who he would hurt, or he just needed to get the story out. So he would have the people on his side, and he would continue reporting. So he didn't like to hurt anyone, but it was just part of the job, and he needed to get it out there. Also, with him having 2 daughters and a wife, I also thought he sacrificed a lot for his job. But even though he was a great reporter, he was a great father too, and they both transferred into getting across that he was a good father, he was a good reporter, he was just overall a good person. And he was a very well-spoken and really creative writer and very well-known journalist. So that's my report on Charles Gibson.